Yo, what is up, YouTube? This is my first time going live on here, and I just wanted to jump on and start answering some creative finance questions, as YouTube is my platform to provide as much education as possible. So, I actually want to start off with why creative finance has changed my life, and then we'll wait for some people to join. We'll kind of go through there. But creative finance is one of those things that you really don't think is very possible. And when you see these videos and you see people talk about creative finance, or you hear people talk about basically saying like, oh, buy a house, zero credit, zero credentials, zero cash out of pocket, you're just like, people don't understand it. It sometimes goes over people's heads. However, the first and foremost thing that I want to say is the reason why you want to buy real estate. I mean, there's multiple reasons. However, something they don't teach you while growing up is, at least in my story, was nobody ever taught me about money and how money worked. So the way I was raised was save your money, Chris. Don't get in debt. Save as much money. And a lot of the times the way we were saving money was underneath the mattress. We wouldn't even put it in a bank account or in a drawer, in a sock. And then I started educating myself, because I think I had this idea in my head of what I thought making money was like, or what money was. And till I learned that it comes back down to not how much money you can make. Yes, you want to make a lot of money, but it really comes down to how much money you can move. It's exactly, I'm going to make it very, very simple when it comes to moving money. Think of the banks. What do the banks do? You go deposit your money. They end up lending your money out to somebody else. And how do the banks make money? Well, the banks make money through fees, through interest. They are charging interest to somebody else on your money that they are saving. And that's something that I didn't know. So then, as I started my career and I started in the investing to move money, there's a way to move money. And I don't know what happened, it froze. I don't know if it froze or what the dealio is, but I don't know. I'm just going to keep talking and see. Let's see. All right. So about the banks lending out money is, I didn't know how money worked. And so I knew people would always talk about real estate, and you would see these people post big checks about real estate. Then you would see different aspects of the game, which I really didn't know the different aspects of the game. So until I started I started off as a real estate agent. And the reason why I started off as a real estate agent is I was actually influenced by the people around me, which most of the time you're going to be influenced by someone around you. And I hope you're able to see this, or I hope you're able to listen to this. Like, can you even see in the comments? Like, let's see. Let me know if you guys could see this, please. Or if you could see me, or if I'm frozen, or what to do, because this is my first time going live on here. Let's see. I have no idea. Somebody write it in the comments, please. So, there we go. We're back. We're back in business. Okay, so going back to the money. So I started off as a real estate agent, but then what I realized was I still had a boss. The boss were the clients, were the people that I was working for. And I still realized that, hey, if I'm not working, I am not going to make money. If I'm not working, I'm not going to make money. So I learned there has to be more to this. So I would work with investors, and I just didn't understand. I started working with flippers, and I was like, you know what? Like, I want to start flipping a house. So I ended up making a bet on myself, and I bought a house. First house I bought was hard money loan. I needed $20,000 down. At the time, I had sold one of the most expensive house in my city. So I got a big commission. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go flip a house. So I bought a house with $20,000. And then I ended up going through like a business breakup with the time. That's like a whole nother story. But from there, we started flipping houses. Me and another business partner, we started flipping houses, and we started making money. But the thing is when we would make money, we would spend the money. We would make money, we'd spend money. We'd make money, we'd spend money. So then I'm like, hey, there has to be more to this. So I want to say this was probably back like in 2018, 2019. Please don't quote me on the day, but we had discovered Airbnb, and we had discovered like this cash flow thing. So we're like, how do we continue to go out there and be different? So we started a company called My Experience Matters. And what we would do is we would turn regular houses into theme houses. We did a Toy Story house. That Toy Story house actually made it on the Daily Mail UK, Better Homes and Garden. It actually went across the world. Like, it made the news across the world. So that was pretty awesome. We did the Hype House. We did the Pink House. We started doing all these themed houses. And one thing that we did was we house hacked. What was house hacking? Basically, we would rent someone's property, and we would turn it into a rental. I mean, we would turn it into an Airbnb, a themed Airbnb. So we would rent the house for $1,200, and we would turn around and we would deck it out. We would spend money on it, and then we would put it on Airbnb, and we would go out there and we would start renting it out. So we were making probably $2,200, $3,000. I don't remember exactly the numbers, but so we started doing that, started making some cash flow, and we're like, okay, listen, this is taking too long. Like, there has to be more to this. There has to be more to making money faster. And one of the biggest things was I just started educating myself. I started surrounding myself. Like, I remember I was just like, there has to be, what is this wholesaling thing? I didn't know what wholesale was. But see, when I thought about wholesalers, I really thought about flipping. I thought, listen, wholesalers are making a lot of money, but what are they doing with their money? And a thing for me was, I wanted to build wealth. I wanted to jump into the game and start building wealth. I didn't know. Actually, I wonder if there's a drive-through here. I didn't know exactly how to go out there and build wealth. So I stumbled YouTube, of course, YouTube University, and creative finance came across. I'm like, what's this creative finance thing? I started following several people that changed my life. Number one was Pace Morby. Pace Morby's YouTube channel was so big for me. It was so big. And Brent Daniels was another person that I started following that had so much value on their channel. Another guy was Jamil Damji. So one thing that I tapped into was Wholesale Hotline. Every Sunday, if you guys go on YouTube, you guys go look up Wholesale Hotline. I mean, I started watching almost every single episode on there, and I started like learning the game. So one thing I learned, I'm like, okay, there's this creative finance thing that they're talking about, and it's like buying houses. That's what I want to do. How do I buy houses with zero credit, zero credentials, and zero cash out of pocket? Like, this almost seemed like too good to be true. So one of the biggest things that I feel that's not talked about is like the struggles. I remember, so again, I was a licensed agent. I'm like, you know what, bro? I hope I could cuss on here, but I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm either going to commit to this, I'm going to go all in. If not, I'm going to continue to go out there, and I'm going to have analysis paralysis. The struggle that I saw, what I potentially saw that I was going to happen was, if I went to go meet with the seller, more than likely, if I didn't buy the house through creative, I was going to try to list it. And I felt, it's going to fuck with me because I'm not going to be committed to the sale. And that's what a lot of people lack, is the commitment to the sale. You have to be committed to the sale. So I said, you know what? I'm going to hang up my license. I'm going to hang up my real estate license. I'm going to go all in on this investing side, on this investing journey. So I ended up going all in on the investing side. And so my first deal was, I found a deal on, where did it come from? That was on Sunset. I remember the address. I remember the exact address. And this was a Subject 3 model. And I was like, at the time, everyone's talking about Subject 2. Everybody's talking about seller finance. But ain't nobody talking about Subject 3. And I'm like, bro, what is a Subject 3? Like, so, and I'll tell you how it came to be is, so this was during COVID. Ben had found some guy on, we had a property under contract and we were trying to sell it to him. And Ben was going through, Ben is my business partner, by the way. Ben was going through his contact list. We both had COVID. We were living inside one of the Airbnbs that we were making into a retro home. We were living in an Airbnb. So what do I mean by that? This is one of the houses that we were turning into an Airbnb. And as we're painting it, this is a retro house. So we're painting it, going all out. As we're living in here, we're converting it into an Airbnb. So we're living out of a suitcase at the time. So we had COVID. We had COVID at the time. What's up, Connor? We had COVID at the time, and he starts going through his contacts, looking up cash buyers, and he finds this guy by the name of George. George was the first person to introduce us into a Subject 3 model. So we reach out to George. Hey, George, listen, we got this property on contract. Ben had a conversation with him, and Ben comes back inside the house, and he's like, bro, I just met this guy. He does this for a living. Like, he's full-time. He wants to meet with us. I'm like, bro, well, we got fucking COVID at the time. Hopefully it doesn't take off this video. But we have it. Like, how are we gonna meet with him? He's like, well, I told him we would meet with him next week. I'm like, bro, but the time is now. Like, let's try to meet with him like ASAP. All right, cool. Let's ask him if it's okay if we show up with a mask. We show up with a mask. We go to his office. He's like, yeah, man, look, this is what I do. This is what it is. And we're telling him, look, bro, we're full on real estate investors. This is what we're building. We had a class at the time, completely free Zoom class. Every Wednesday, I remember. And we would teach people as what we were learning. So we had the gist of Subject 2 seller finance. Still no deals at the time. And besides that one deal, and we tell him, look, we have this lead. This guy wants to sell. He's open to seller finance, but he owes on the property, so it's a Subject 2 deal. He's like, well, but he wanted too much money. So then he's like, why don't you guys do a Subject 3? We're like, what is a Subject 3? All in a nutshell, Subject 3 is, we were going to structure the deal for the seller. We were going to structure the deal for the seller. So the seller, it was a Subject 2 deal with a seller finance. What does that mean? I was going to take over the payments and seller finance the equity. However, did this guy just cut the line? I'm at Walgreens right now. Walgreens drive-through. So I'm like, did this guy just cut the line? So Subject 2, we're going to take over the payments of the current mortgage and then seller finance the difference. However, this guy wanted a lot of money for the house, which wasn't even worth it. So what we were going to do was, on a Subject 3 model, was we keep your down payment. We keep the down payment we collect. We will market the property, and we would find a challenge buyer from there. We ended up collecting $30,000 down at the end, or $16,000 down. I'm sorry, $16,000 down. We had to split that with George. We made $8,000, and we were like, wow, this shit works. This is amazing. Let's do more. So it took us actually 4.5 months to close our first deal. No, 6 months to close our first deal. 8 months to start. Then we closed 4 deals. The next 4 deals that we closed were, 2 of them were multifamily. Those were seller finance deals. Seller finance is basically when the homeowner becomes your bank. So the idea was, and you guys got to understand, going back to me talking about money and you understanding money, is like when you talk about money, is most people get scared about talking about money because they don't understand money. It's a scarcity mindset. But see, for me, it's like I wanted to build wealth. So when we're talking about subject to, this is why you want to buy real estate. Subject to is you basically go, most of your subject twos are going to be somebody that has a problem. You go in there, take over the mortgage, and then as long as you're able to rent it out for more than what the mortgage is, the tenant is paying for your debt. And while the tenant is paying for the debt, the property is appreciating, and you're making the difference in between of whatever the debt is, and whatever the mortgage, whatever the debt is, and whatever the tenant's paying. So for example, if you go out there and you take over someone's payment for $1,000 and you could rent it out for $1,500, you're making $500 every single month. Obviously, fees, maintenance, management, all that good stuff. However, you are also taking the appreciation of the property. So that's subject to. Seller finance is when the seller becomes your bank, and you could seller finance everything, anything and everything. Perfect example, a car. Somebody wants to sell a car. I'll buy this car from you. How much do you want? $7,000. I want cash. Well, instead of me giving you $7,000, why don't you allow me to give you $10,000? But I'll give it to you in payments. And this is why it's so important to identify somebody's goals. If you're able to identify somebody's goals, then guess what? It's going to make it that much easier for you to work backwards to structure a deal. Hybrid deal, subject to a seller finance, meaning they don't leave no equity on the table. And this is something I wish I would have known a lot sooner, when house prices were a lot cheaper, when when interest rates were lower. But the reality of it is, it's never too late to start. Real estate over the last 100 years has always appreciated, and it's going to continue to appreciate. And it's just one of those games that you have to start taking action now. Going back to the first property that I purchased with $20,000 down, I ended up refinancing that property. I made like $80,000. I got my $20,000 back and made $60,000 tax-free. Again, that's tax-free. Why is that tax-free? Well, because the government or the IRS cannot tax on loans. They cannot tax you on borrowed money. So real estate is a leverage game. If there's something that you take away on this video, is going to be leverage. How to leverage money. Leverage money. It's all about leveraging. So again, if your property goes up from 100 to 200, you can go get a loan for almost up to 80% of whatever the property value is. So what is that? 200, 80%, 160. Let's say you only owe 80. That means you have $80,000 in equity that you can borrow tax-free. You take that $80,000 and then you go buy 4 more houses. And you do the same thing as the properties appreciate. You refinance. I believe in debt. I like using debt to make more money. Some people rather go out there and pay off assets. For me, it's how do I leverage my assets? How do I put a tenant in there to pay down my debt that's going to allow me to go out there and acquire more real estate? And the reality of this game is, you too can do it if you are surrounding yourself with the right people. Going back to when I first started, I was influenced to become a real estate agent by the people I was surrounded by. However, as I continue to elevate, as I continue to grow, I continue to surround myself with the right people that are allowing me to make more money, that are allowing me to become a better person, that are allowing me to continuously grow. And you too can become that person. YouTube, if you like this video, please give me a comment, give me a like, and I will guarantee you I will do more lives to help you go out there and be more successful and grow as an individual.